Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever noticed how the most important things in life take longer than you expected? You set out on a path full of energy and ambition, only to find that reality has its own timeline. And then comes the frustration, the creeping doubt that whispers, maybe this isn't meant to be. But that's precisely where you're wrong, because what takes time is what truly matters. What takes time is what separates the disciplined from the impulsive, the strong from the weak, the builders from the destroyers. If something comes too quickly, it's often fragile. It hasn't been tested. It hasn't endured. And if it hasn't endured, then why should you trust it? We live in a world that thrives on immediacy. Instant communication, instant gratification, instant success. At least, that's what we're led to believe. But all of it is a lie. The real process of growth, whether personal or societal, is built on delay, on struggle, on the constant grinding away at what is imperfect until it becomes something worthwhile. When you commit to something meaningful, a relationship, a career, a skill, a higher ideal, you will inevitably face delays. It will take longer than you wanted. You will be tested in ways you never imagined. And that is exactly what should happen. Because through that suffering, you transform. You become someone capable of bearing responsibility, of confronting chaos, of carving order out of the unknown. The question isn't, why is this taking so long? The question is, who will I become through this process? So when things take longer, recognize that it's an invitation to develop character, to refine your patience, to fortify your will, and to prove to yourself that you are made of something far stronger than the momentary discomfort of waiting. Because in the end, the reward isn't just achieving the goal. The reward is becoming someone who deserves it. Thank you. Important things always take longer than expected. That's one of the fundamental realities of existence. Yet people constantly resist it. You set out on a path with a vision in mind, convinced that if you work hard and stay focused, everything will unfold in a timely manner. But then reality intervenes, obstacles arise, complications emerge, and the straightforward path you envisioned turns out to be anything but simple. And suddenly what was supposed to take weeks takes months. What was meant to take months stretches into years. Frustration sets in, and with it, the creeping doubt that maybe you've made a mistake. But here's the truth. If something is truly valuable, if it holds deep meaning, if it has the potential to shape your life in a profound way, then of course it will take time. Of course it will demand more than you initially planned to give. Why would it be otherwise? Why would something that carries real weight come easily? The very act of struggling through a process, of encountering resistance, of having to push through moments of uncertainty and discouragement, that is what transforms an ordinary pursuit into something extraordinary. And yet, we live in a world that has conditioned people to expect immediacy. Everything is optimized for speed, faster communication, quicker results, immediate access to whatever you desire. And this creates an illusion that life itself should operate on those terms. That if something isn't happening fast, it must not be working. That if you don't see immediate progress, you must be on the wrong path. But this is a complete distortion of how real achievement works. Anything of substance, whether it's building a career, developing mastery in a skill, strengthening a relationship, or even understanding yourself, requires a relentless commitment to something that may not yield visible results right away. This is why so many people quit before they've even scratched the surface of their potential. They assume difficulty is a sign they should stop. But that's the exact opposite of the truth. The delay, the struggle, the slow grind of progress, this is what weeds out the weak-willed and the half-hearted. It's a test, built into the very structure of existence, to separate those who merely want something from those who are willing to endure for it. So whenever something takes longer than you expected, resist the impulse to despair. Instead, recognize what's actually happening. You are being shaped by time itself, forced to develop the resilience, patience, and discipline required to handle the very thing you desire. Because if you can't endure the process, you won't be able to sustain the reward. And that's not a punishment, it's a necessary part of the path. Frustration is an unavoidable part of life. It creeps in when things don't go the way you planned, when obstacles appear out of nowhere, when you feel like you're putting in the effort but not seeing the results. It's uncomfortable, irritating, sometimes even overwhelming. And in those moments, the temptation is always the same. Give up, walk away, convince yourself that it wasn't worth it in the first place. But what if frustration isn't a signal to stop? What if it's actually a sign that you're engaged in something meaningful? Think about it. When do you feel the most frustrated? It's not when you're doing something trivial. You don't agonize over things that don't matter. You don't feel deep frustration when a meaningless task goes wrong. No, frustration arises when something you care about is at stake. It shows up when you've invested time, effort, and emotion into something important. That's why frustration is not your enemy. It's evidence that you are on a path that actually matters. It's the emotional friction that occurs when reality resists your will, when you are trying to bring something into existence that isn't easy to achieve. And that's exactly how it should be. If frustration were absent, it would mean the task is insignificant. If something is truly valuable, it will challenge you. It will push back. And the frustration you feel in response is proof that you are stretching yourself beyond your current limits. What most people do when they encounter frustration is try to avoid it. They retreat, they distract themselves, they shift to something easier. But that's the worst possible response, because frustration is not a dead end. It's a signal that you are on the edge of growth. It's the moment where you are being asked to decide, will I push forward despite the discomfort, or will I let this resistance define me? So the next time you feel frustration creeping in, don't run from it. Recognize it for what it is, an indicator that you are involved in something worthwhile. And instead of letting it paralyze you, let it sharpen your focus. Let it remind you that if something wasn't difficult, it wouldn't be meaningful. And if it wasn't meaningful, it wouldn't be worth doing in the first place. Instant gratification is one of the most dangerous traps a person can fall into. It offers the illusion of satisfaction, the fleeting pleasure of getting what you want right now, without delay, without struggle, without effort. And for a moment, it feels good, like you've won, like you've found a shortcut to happiness. But it's a deception. It gives you the sensation of progress without the substance, the appearance of fulfillment without the foundation to sustain it. Look around. Everywhere you go, the world is designed to feed this impulse. You want entertainment? It's available instantly, at the tap of a screen. You want validation? Just post something online and watch the likes roll in. You want success? There's always some hack, some trick, some shortcut being advertised. Everything is faster, easier, more convenient. But what does that actually produce? Does it create strength? Does it build resilience? Does it lead to a life of deep meaning? No. It creates people who are impatient, weak, and easily manipulated by whatever offers the quickest fix. Because real fulfillment, the kind that lasts, is never immediate. It has to be earned. It has to be built over time through discipline, sacrifice, and an unwavering commitment to something beyond momentary pleasure. The greatest achievements, mastering a skill, building a career, forging a meaningful relationship, understanding yourself, these things require delayed gratification. They require the ability to endure discomfort in the present for something greater in the future. And that's the real battle. Can you resist the easy road in favor of the meaningful one? Can you delay pleasure now to build something truly worthwhile later? That's the difference between a life of deep satisfaction and a life spent chasing temporary highs that fade as quickly as they come. So don't fall for the lie of instant gratification. Recognize it for what it is, a distraction, a thief of your potential. The things that matter most will never come easily, and that's exactly why they're worth pursuing. Struggle is not just something to be endured. It is something that refines you. It is the process by which you are shaped, tested, and ultimately transformed. Yet so many people spend their lives avoiding struggle, treating it like an enemy, something to be minimized or escaped. But what happens when you avoid struggle? You remain weak. You remain untested. You remain exactly as you are, without growth, without depth, without real strength. Think about anything that holds value, whether it's a diamond forged under immense pressure or a blade sharpened through relentless grinding. The process that creates strength is never comfortable. It is never easy, but it is necessary. And the same applies to you. The hardships you face, the setbacks, the moments when everything feels overwhelming, these are not punishments. They are opportunities. They are the fires in which character is forged. because without struggle, there is no real achievement. Without struggle, you don't know what you're capable of. The greatest figures in history, the most admirable individuals, the people we look up to, all of them were shaped by struggle. They did not become who they were by avoiding difficulty. They became who they were by confronting it, by embracing the challenge, by refusing to back down when things became hard. And this is the reality you must accept. You will struggle. You will be tested. Life will push against you. But that is not a reason to despair. It is a reason to persist. Because every time you push through, you become stronger. Every time you endure, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. And every time you refuse to quit, you take another step toward becoming someone who is not just surviving, but thriving. So don't fear struggle. Recognize it, respect it, and most importantly, use it, because it is through struggle that you become something more than you were before. What lasts is what has endured. It's easy to be impressed by things that rise quickly. Fast success, immediate recognition, overnight achievements. But if something hasn't been tested, if it hasn't withstood hardship, then how do you know it will last? You don't, because anything that hasn't endured hasn't proven itself. Look at the structures that have stood for centuries. Ancient cathedrals, timeless philosophies, enduring relationships. They weren't built in a day. They weren't created on a whim. They were forged through effort, refined through hardship, and strengthened by time. The same is true for people. The strongest individuals are not those who have had an easy life. They are the ones who have suffered, who have been knocked down and gotten back up, who have learned through pain what it means to persist. The world is filled with things that are flashy but temporary. Trends come and go. People chase shortcuts, looking for the fastest route to success, only to watch it slip through their fingers. But what truly lasts? That which has endured struggle, hardship, and resistance. The business that survives decades isn't the one that got lucky. It's the one that adapted, that overcame failures, that refused to fold when times got hard. The relationship that lasts a lifetime isn't the one that was effortless. It's the one that faced storms, endured disagreements, and grew stronger through commitment. The individual who becomes great isn't the one who had an easy path. It's the one who suffered, learned, and came out wiser. So when you find yourself struggling, when things take longer than expected, when life tests you, remember this: what lasts is what has endured. If something is easy to obtain, it's probably easy to lose. But if you build something that can withstand adversity, then it will have real, lasting value. Because endurance is the true measure of strength. What lasts is what has endured. It's easy to admire things that seem powerful, impressive, or successful in the moment. A new idea takes off, a person rises to fame, a relationship starts with passion and excitement. But time is the great equalizer. Time tests everything. And what cannot endure, what is built on weak foundations, on convenience, on fleeting excitement, inevitably collapses. Look at nature. The strongest trees are not the ones that grew the fastest, but the ones that stood firm through storms, that sent their roots deep into the ground so they could withstand the winds. The mountains that have lasted for millennia were not formed overnight. They were shaped by pressure, by time, by forces beyond imagination. What remains is what could not be broken. The same is true for people. Strength is not measured in how well someone does when things are easy. It is measured in how they respond to suffering, to hardship, to resistance. The people who last, the ones who become unshakable, are those who have endured. They've faced failure, betrayal, loss, but they refused to let those things destroy them. They adapted, they kept going, and because of that, they became something more than they were before. And this applies to everything: ideas, relationships, success. If something is real, if something is meant to last, it will survive hardship. It will withstand pressure. It will not crumble the moment difficulty arises. But if something falls apart as soon as it's tested, then it was never strong to begin with. So when you are building your life, ask yourself, am I creating something that can endure? Am I seeking short-term pleasure, or am I building something real? Because in the end, the things that truly last, whether it's character, love, wisdom, or achievement, are the things that have been tested by time and emerged unbroken. Your response to delay shapes your future. Life will not always move at the pace you want. You will make plans, set goals, work hard, and yet things will take longer than expected. progress will feel slow. Obstacles will appear. You will face moments where you wonder if your efforts are in vain. And in those moments, the choice you make will determine everything. You can respond with frustration, with bitterness, with impatience. You can complain that life isn't fair, that things should be happening faster, that you deserve results now, but what does that accomplish? Nothing. It weakens you. It turns you into someone who sees challenges as personal attacks rather than necessary steps in the process. It blinds you to the fact that delays are not barriers, they are tests. Because the truth is, delay is a part of every meaningful pursuit. Anything worth having requires time. Mastery of a skill, the building of a career, the deepening of wisdom, none of these things happen overnight. And how you respond when things take longer than you hoped will define your path. Will you give up, change course, settle for something easier? Or will you endure, adapt, and grow stronger through the wait? The people who achieve the most in life are not the ones who had a smooth, uninterrupted journey. They are the ones who faced delays and used them as opportunities. They learned patience. They built resilience. They refused to be shaken by temporary setbacks because they understood that time is not the enemy. Time is the forge. It is what refines you, sharpens you, and prepares you for what's to come. So when you encounter delay, don't let it break you. Let it shape you. Your response in those moments will determine whether you remain stuck or whether you rise to something greater. Because the future is not just about where you want to go, it's about who you become along the way. Urge emerges from chaos through patience. Life is not naturally structured. It is unpredictable, filled with disorder, uncertainty, and challenges that you did not plan for. Chaos is the default state of existence. Things fall apart, plans go astray, and events spiral beyond your control. But in the face of this chaos, you have two choices. You can react impulsively, trying to force immediate control, or you can cultivate patience, the ability to withstand the storm long enough to bring order out of it. Patience is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is the disciplined willingness to endure discomfort without breaking, to resist the temptation for quick fixes, and to allow things to unfold at the pace necessary for real structure to form. It is the understanding that order is not imposed instantly. It is built carefully, intentionally, through time and effort. Look at history. The greatest civilizations were not constructed in moments of peace and ease. They were forged out of the struggle to bring stability to chaos. The greatest individuals did not simply stumble upon clarity. They wrestled with confusion, endured suffering, and through patience transformed disorder into meaning. Whether it is a mind seeking wisdom, a person striving for mastery, or a society aiming for justice, the pattern is always the same. Chaos first, patience in the middle, order in the end. Impatience leads to destruction. It demands control now, without the necessary work, without the process of refinement. And because of that, it creates brittle structures, relationships that shatter under stress, ideas that collapse under scrutiny, systems that crumble because they were not given time to take proper form. But patience allows order to emerge naturally in a way that can stand the test of time. So when you face chaos, when things seem uncertain, overwhelming, beyond your grasp, resist the impulse to panic. Instead, cultivate patience. Lean into the process. Work diligently, steadily, with faith that what is unclear now will become structured through effort and time. Because true order, the kind that lasts, can only emerge from chaos when you are patient enough to see it through. Time weeds out the uncommitted. In the beginning, enthusiasm is easy. Anyone can start something, a new goal, a new relationship, a new pursuit, with excitement and energy. But starting is not the same as enduring. Over time, the initial spark fades, difficulties arise, and the true test begins. The question is never, can you begin? It's, can you persist when the excitement is gone? Time is the great filter. It separates those who are merely interested from those who are truly committed. It exposes weakness, inconsistency, and the desire for shortcuts. Those who expect quick rewards, who crave instant results, who lack the patience to see things through, these people inevitably fall away. Their motivation was shallow. Their dedication was conditional. They were never fully in it to begin with. But those who endure, they are a different kind. They don't quit when things take longer than expected. They don't let setbacks shake their resolve. They understand that real achievement requires more than just effort. It requires time. It requires sacrifice. It requires the willingness to push forward even when there's no immediate payoff. This is why so few people reach mastery, why so few relationships last, why so many dreams remain unrealized. Because most are not willing to endure what time demands. The ones who succeed are not necessarily the most talented, the smartest, or the luckiest. They are simply the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who understand that struggle is not a reason to stop, it's proof that they are on the right path. So when you find yourself in a battle with time, when progress feels slow, when obstacles seem endless, ask yourself, am I truly committed? Because if you are, time will not defeat you, it will refine you, and in the end it will leave only those who are strong enough to last. The real reward is who you become. People chase outcomes. Success, wealth, recognition, mastery. They set goals and measure their progress by what they achieve. And while achievement has its place, it is never the most valuable thing you gain, because external rewards can be lost. Money comes and goes. Fame is fleeting. Even accomplishments can feel empty once reached. But what does remain, what cannot be taken from you, is the person you become in pursuit of those things. The real value of any challenge, any struggle, any pursuit of excellence is in the transformation it demands. If you want to build something meaningful, life will require you to become someone worthy of it. It will test your patience, your resilience, your discipline. It will push you beyond your limits, forcing you to grow in ways you never anticipated. And that process, painful, slow, and often frustrating, is where the real reward lies. Because in the end, the outcome is just a moment. You reach the finish line, celebrate, and then what? If the only thing you were chasing was the result, you'll quickly feel empty again, searching for the next goal to fill the void. But if you were focused on who you were becoming, on developing wisdom, strength, perseverance, then every challenge, every delay, every hardship was never wasted. It was shaping you into someone stronger, someone more capable, someone who can handle not just success, but the weight of responsibility that comes with it. This is why so many who reach the top feel lost. They were so focused on getting there that they neglected becoming someone who could truly appreciate it. But those who understand that the journey itself is the real reward, they don't just achieve, they transform. And in the end, that is what matters most. So in the end, it's never just about the goal, the achievement, or the destination. It's about the process, the struggle, the patience, the discipline, the endurance. It's about what time demands of you and what you're willing to give in return. Frustration, delay, and hardship are not signs that you're failing. They are signs that you're in the middle of something meaningful. And how you respond to them will determine not just what you achieve, but who you become. Because real success isn't about taking the fastest route or finding the easiest way. It's about staying the course, refining yourself, and proving over time that you are truly committed. So embrace the struggle, resist the deception of shortcuts and instant gratification. Understand that the things that truly last are the things that have endured. And most importantly, remember this. Your future is not just built on what you accomplish, but on the strength, wisdom, and character you forge along the way. That is the real reward. That is what matters. And that is why you must keep going.